Hello, everybody. Amari here checking in. You are about to jump into a little calendar schedule plan making video that I'm very excited to share with you. I'm very excited that you are the person watching this video because if you're watching this video, that means you give a shit about your dreams. And I'm excited to be around people like that. So kudos to you. Congratulations to you. I acknowledge you. One thing you should know before you jump into this video is you should download Google Calendar. So before you start, take the time, go on the App Store. It's universally available. So jump into that. And when you're ready, let's get to it. Congratulations on the rest of your life. Okay. Hi. Hello. Welcome to this moment. If you're watching this video, you are probably about to start coaching with me or you're about to join the guild. Either way, you've probably made one of the best decisions you've ever made in your life. And a lot of times when I work with people, especially people who join the Guild Milestone program, a lot of the times they're coming to me because they want a result. They want to create something in their life. They want to do something that they really truly want, and they want it so bad that they don't want to risk letting insecurity or procrastination or disorganization or lack of clarity get in the way of them accomplishing their goals, dreams, and desires. I know you're watching this video because you're one of those people that will not leave your dreams up to chance. So I acknowledge you for being here. I acknowledge you for watching this video, and I acknowledge you for giving a fuck about yourself. Yeah? If you're new to me and you didn't know this video is going to contain a lot of cursing, welcome aboard. Buckle up. Yeah? Cool. So the reason I wanted to start with that intro, the reason I want to start with a reminder of why we're doing this in the first place, working together, creating this thing that we're going to create here in this video, is to remind us that our visions, our goals, our dreams, the things that we want to realize in our life, they come about as the result of a strategy. I've said this so many times over the last couple of years that the difference between a lofty dream and a goal is a strategy. For the people who joined the Milestone program, we're going to talk a lot about a pact, a P-A-C-T. A pact for me is if you have any dream goal in your life and you instill this method of a pact, you will achieve that goal and dream and desire. Literally. It's so much less about talent and ability and so much more about these four things. So today we're going to be talking about the P, and the P is the plan. When I say plan, I mean your schedule, right? And a lot of times I know people, they think that a schedule isn't a romantic tool and it doesn't fit with their life or it stresses them out and causes them anxiety. I fucking get it 100%. And I want it to be clear from the very tip top of this video, this is not how I'm saying you should live your life every single day. What I am saying is that if you are in a container with me, if you are in the container of the guild, if you are in a set focused container of creating a result in your life, this is what you get to do. If you want to create a result in your life, you create a plan. That's it. Yeah? So for me, when I approach my schedule, when I approach my plan, when I help people create these things, we want to break that plan down into subcategories. And we always want to start with what I sometimes call non-negotiables and what sometimes I call my foundation. What are the things that as is, right now, bare bones of your schedule cannot move? Right? And a lot of times when I'm talking about your non-negotiables, your foundation, that's the stuff like your work. You work every day from 10 to 6, or you have class from 9 to 11, right? So the first thing I want you to do, take out a piece of paper, or like me, you can use your computer here, write down what are your non-negotiables. Not the things that you want to have in there, literally just the things that happen every single day, Monday through Friday, or they have specific set-aside dates. Cool? So take a second and knock that out. So, as you can see here, I have listed all the things. I racked my brain for all the things that happen every single week, or at least on a regularly scheduled basis, that I want to build my schedule around. So these are things that are hard. Let's think about it like this. These are the things that are locked into time. Yeah. So if you notice here, down at the bottom, I also have Nick coaching. Nick is my business coach, and me and him, we meet bi-weekly. But we don't necessarily have a set date every time. So it's something that I know I want to do. I know it's something that occurs regularly, but I know that Right now the time isn't locked in, so I put that at the bottom with an asterisk. You'll see why later. So let's jump in now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add into this calendar all the things that don't move. So for example, milestone class, 6 p.m. Mondays, boom. So I'm gonna scroll down to Monday. I'm gonna do 6 p.m. I'm gonna go to 8 p.m. because that class is 2 hours, yeah? I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna add milestone class. I'm gonna go into more options, and then I'm gonna click this button, boom. I'm gonna put weekly on Monday. Easy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Save. Very simple process. Trust me, we're gonna build this out a lot more, but just take a second and take every single thing that you know is non-negotiable in this foundational bracket, in this foundational category, and add it into your Google Calendar. Okay, cool. I trust that you have knocked out all your non-negotiables. I'm gonna add some quick notes into that just before we move further along into the process. Cool? So if you see here on my little screen that I've got here, I have Nicole client, Mondays, 11 a.m. Shout out to Nicole. Bi-weekly, right? So it doesn't occur weekly. So what I'm going to do, and I'm sure this is, standard procedure for most of y'all, but just so we're all on the same page, what you'll do is I'm gonna go to 11 a.m. on the first day that it starts. She's a 90-minute call. I'm gonna put in Nicole call. I'm gonna go to more options. I'm gonna say does repeat, but I'm gonna do a custom. I'm gonna repeat every 2 weeks. Cool? That way, when it starts to show up on my calendar, for example, here we go, Monday the 17th, but if I go to the 24th, not there. But the 31st, she is there. Cool? Great. Simple enough, right? I know the way that I operate, and I know that I do not want, because I know I'm about to fill up this schedule, and I know I do not want to be rushing from one thing into my guild calls. I like to have space. I like to prep myself. I like to get my, my video, Zoom, everything ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 6 to 8 p.m. and I'm just going to adjust it real quick. I'm going to start that thing at 5:30. I'm going to still make sure it ends at 8, but that way when I look at my calendar, I know I'm not going to book anything in this time. That 30 minutes of prep, I want that prep, even though the call doesn't start until later. Yeah? Do the same thing over here. Boom. Yeah? For me, what this entire calendar scheduling process is all about, it's about understanding my priorities. It's setting up my priorities so then I know what I can be in integrity to. Yeah? That is a bar, so you should write that down somewhere. I am setting up, I am making a list, I am creating a structure around my priorities, so now I have something to hold myself accountable to. I have something to be in integrity to. Cool? Beautiful. Let's continue. The next thing that we're going to move into is, if we go back to this document, foundation support, i.e. non-negotiables support. And when I say foundation support, I mean we have our non-negotiables, the things that don't move, meetings, classes, blah, 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 blah. Everything takes something else to hold it up. So by that, I mean cool, I have a client call. When am I going to prep for that client call? It's kind of similar to what we did at the end of the little non-negotiables thing where I started to move around my mastery class, milestone class time so I could set myself up for success. But what happens when your prep time, your support time for those moments and those meetings is not right before it? That's what we work on next. So I want you to create a list and think thoroughly, rack your brain for what are the ways to support your non-negotiables. What do you need to set aside time for to make sure that your non-negotiables get to happen? So for me, I know in order to support my mental health, I want to do 45-minute break after all my clients. I know that I have a meeting with my manager every week. I know I need to prep for the milestone class. I know I have to prep for my mastery class. And obviously, I gotta prep all my clients. So, what you should have in front of you is one list of all of your non-negotiables, i.e. your foundation, Next to it, you should have a list of your foundational support, i.e. the things that support the non-negotiables happening, right? For me, if you see here, I got a 45-minute break after all my 90-minute clients. I just know that in order for me to best serve anything else on my schedule, that's got to happen, yeah? And the way that I factored that is, okay, my client calls are generally 90 minutes, so I wanted to give myself at least half that time afterwards to reset, yeah? So that means when I have 60-minute calls, I'll have 30-minute breaks afterwards. Does that make sense? This is how I do it. This is your schedule. I'm simply giving you an example of how to pull it together. Yeah? Beautiful, phenomenal, fantastic. Let us add all this stuff in. We're going to go in here and we're going to look for all my clients that are 90 minutes. For example, Lucy on Thursdays. So let's add, you can click and drag. And when I click and drag, I'm going to put Lucy break. Real simple, but I want to make a little bit of a difference. I'm going to go into options and I'm going to change the color of this to maybe like light blue. The reason I do that is so that when I go here, I can kind of start to differentiate visually the difference between my non-negotiables and the things that support my non-negotiables. Yeah, you don't have to use blue, but I highly suggest you change the color of these things. Cool? So take some time, add in your support, your foundational support, and then we'll get back to it. Next up, what I want to add from my support list onto my schedule is my meetings with my manager. And right now, to be honest, my meetings with my manager were kind of like, yo, do we have time today? All right, let's talk. Oh, you have time tomorrow? All right, let's talk. What I want to communicate to you right now, I know all of us have those kind of relationships in our lives where things are kind of loosey-goose. For the next couple months, between you and this result, there is no loosey-goose shit, right? So what you get to do, what you have the opportunity to do right now is to take some of these things that are kind of flimsy up in the air and to say, hey person, hey client, hey person that I'm working with, for the next etc amount of weeks, let's meet at this time on this day. Does that work with you? Right? Because a lot of the times those things that are up in the air, honestly, if we just came to them with a communication, if we came to them with a conversation, we can actually create a lot more order in our lives. So obviously everything that I do is related to coaching, and I think this is the first opportunity for us to coach ourselves into potentially having some uncomfortable conversations. Yeah? Beautiful, phenomenal, fantastic. One quick hack that I like to do on the Google Calendar, I'll show you. So on Mondays, I have B. White check-in. As you notice, I also have B. White on Friday. That's my manager. What I like to do sometimes when I go into meetings, I want to be sure I know what this meeting is for, especially if throughout the week I meet with this person on an ongoing basis. What's the difference between Monday meetings? What's the difference between Thursday meetings? Having a quick note for myself reminds myself, and I can, go into it with more intention, more focus, and a container of what I'm trying to accomplish. So in order to do that, what I like to do is click on it, edit, go into description, and in my description, I'll write preview content for the week. And I also want to make sure that we prep the week ahead. Cool, great. Save this and following events. Okay, everybody, now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, now let's get into the juicy stuff, yeah? So you are here for a reason, you're here for a purpose, you're here because you wanted to create something in your life that you have yet to create, right? So we know what we're working with. Now that we've set up our non-negotiables, now that we've set up the things that are already as is, now let's see what space we have to build what we want to come next, right? So I like to refer to this part as the stepping stones. We'll call the big thing that we're going towards our milestone, whether you're trying to finish a project or like me trying to reach a certain financial figure, whatever it is, losing weight, finishing a project, getting something done, that's your milestone. The stuff in between is your stepping stones. Yeah? So let's reverse engineer that. For me, My milestone is to get to the point where I am investing in stocks, which is something I've never done before. So I'm like, I know I want this. I know I need to do it. I know I want to have some kind of accountability system in place to make sure that I get there. Just like last time when we found our non-negotiables and the things that support our non-negotiables, now we want to find our stepping stones. And now I want to start with the stepping stones, start with setting aside time for that, and then we'll work backwards and say, okay, in order to accomplish that, i.e. my research, i.e. my budgeting, those are the support things. So we'll do that afterwards. So this is the part where we start to get creative. I'm gonna walk you all through my example, and then we are going to give you time to do it for yourself, right? So for me, let's look at it like this. I decided that in order for me to actually become financially literate, I should probably start reading financial books. And I know that if I don't set aside time for myself, I'm not going to do it. So I said, all right, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to spend 1 hour reading financial material. Yeah? Boom. And I know, given my own situation, that in order for me to get to financially where I want to go, in order to create the financial landscape that I want to create, I have got to make certain adjustments to the financial world that I'm currently living in. So I decided, let's set at least 1 hour each week just to do budgeting, just to make sure that my finances that currently exist are in order. So I said 1 hour of financial organization. And, you know, even before I started going down this path, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm starting to understand the stock game. I'm starting to understand that I want to make smart choices, obviously, if I want to create good results in this stock game. So I'm realizing that it's not so much about going in and just investing in stocks every week. It's more so like spending time researching companies. It's spending time learning about their trajectories and what new developments they have and how they're doing in the market. So I said, okay, I want to make sure that I intentionally, purposefully set aside time every single week to do my, let's call it stock research, researching different companies, seeing how they're doing, and seeing what new companies I want to invest in. I want to set aside time for that every single week. So let's say 3 hours each week dedicated to stock research. These are numbers that I'm assuming it's going to take to do something I've never done before. And I'm also giving myself contingency time. I'm not doing like the bare bones. I'm like, oh yeah, it'll take me like 30 minutes to do that. I'm like, no, if I think it's going to take me 30 minutes, I'm going to set aside 1 hour. So I want you to approach your stuff in the same kind of way. Don't just kind of set yourself the bare bones. Give yourself contingency time, especially because it's something you've never done before. Yeah? I would rather you set aside too much time and still stick to it than set aside not enough time and now you start compromising. Cool? Great. So for me, I said 3 hours of stock research. And of course, now, actually the time that I'm going to set aside to start investing in these stocks. Right? Do you see how I'm doing it? I'm trying to be very methodical about my process right now. I'm trying to be very intentional about thinking through what are all the things that I need to do in order to create the result, and let me make sure that I set aside time to account for it. Yeah? So first and foremost, I'm going to set aside 2 hours to do my investing. Yeah? Boom. Let's do it. Now we got to find time on our calendar to make that happen. So let's jump in. Let's get it done. Okay, so let's jump in and let's find out where I can set aside some time for stock investing. Cool. So I'm thinking, you know, I obviously can play with this as I go, but I'm thinking I want Tuesday to be at least one of the days where I set aside time to do the stock investing. So let's go 3:45, 4:45 on Tuesday. Investing time. Let's get this money, baby. And then we'll go to more options, give it a different color so you can differentiate, right? And I'm going to, let's go green. Let's get this money. Let's get this green, baby. Sorry, I'm tired. I get obnoxious when I'm tired. So we got investing time 3:45 to 4:45. We know, according to this, that we want to set aside at least 2 hours. So let's go, I don't want to do 2 days in a row. So let's go Thursday. Let's call it 3:45, 4:45. Investing time. And again, let's get this money, baby. You see how we're starting to piece and parse this whole thing together? Wonderful, phenomenal, fantastic. So now we want to set aside time for the research, the stock research, the business research, understanding what these companies are up to and if it's worth giving them my dollars. Yeah? So what I know right here, according to this sheet, is that I need 3 hours of stock research per week. So I'm thinking, and I encourage you to think like this as well. I'm like, all right, cool. 3 hours. Do I want to do that 1 hour 3 times a week, or do I want to do an hour and a half twice a week? You see what I'm talking about there? So for me personally, I'm imagining that if I'm starting to research companies and I get into a groove and I start reading a bunch of articles and I'm going down a rabbit hole, I don't want to cut myself off at 60 minutes. So I'm going to give myself some contingency, and I'll say I'd rather do 2 90-minute stints throughout the week. And I know if I'm doing a bunch of stock research, if I'm understanding all these companies and understanding how the stock market is constantly changing, I'm like, if I'm doing the research, I want to be investing on the same day, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. If my investing time is Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to make my research time on Tuesdays and Thursdays where I have time, yeah? And again, based on your milestone, based on your work approach, based on the way that you do things, it's going to be different for you. I'm simply walking you through my process to give you ideas on how you want to approach yours. Yeah? Let's do right before my investing time. So we'll do 2 to 3:30. Yeah? Research that shit. And if you notice, I give myself, I did this on purpose. Research that shit is from 2 to 3:30, and investing time is 3:45. I wanted that 15-minute gap because I'm, again, knowing myself, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited about this stock. I'm just going to jump right in and I'm just going to invest in it without maybe taking a second, calming down, walking outside, getting a deep breath of fresh air after I walk through 90 minutes of research, and then calmly moving into my investing time. Because I know, based on how I see other people, based on how I see myself, I'm like, I don't want to be investing in either a tired state or in a manic state, right? Again, this is going to be dependent on your milestone and your approach, but I want you to understand how I'm thinking. So now we've inserted 3 hours of stock research. I put it on Tuesdays and I put it on Thursdays. So now we want 1 hour of financial organization. For me, when I think about that, I'm like, all right, what am I going to do in that time? Because you don't want to just put aside blocks and not know exactly what that block is going to be used for. So for me, when I think, okay, I have an hour of financial organization, that means I'm looking at my expenses for the week. I'm thinking, how much money can I spend this weekend? So it's budgeting, right? So I'm like, it sounds like I should put that towards the end of the week, right? That's my justification. So I'm going to go back into my calendar and I'm going to see what time on Friday I can set aside an hour for my financial organization. So let's go 3 to 4 on Fridays. We'll just spend an hour of financial organization. So that's how I make sure that I've set aside time for my stepping stones. Obviously, in maybe like a month and a half, I'll check in with myself and I'll say like, okay, do I feel like I'm falling behind? Have I not set aside enough time for my stepping stones? At which point I'll just readjust. But I'm gonna say I'm gonna commit to what I have here for at least a month. I'm gonna walk through it. I'm gonna see it, like, regardless, I'm gonna show up for these however many blocks for the next 30 days. Then I'll check in. But if you start adjusting within a week, within a day, then you're not building any momentum, right? You're not seeing what you're capable of. Because I know the first couple of weeks you're gonna look at this and you're gonna be like, oh man, this is too much, or oh man, I haven't set aside enough time. You don't know that yet. Test yourself, allow yourself, and especially if you're watching this video because you're in the guild, you'll have a community of support around you to hold you accountable to these things. And in the future, if we need to adjust, we can. But let's not compromise early. Yeah? Great. All right, everybody, we're back in this thing. We are almost there, I promise. Hopefully you're starting to see how this very basic structure will create results in the rest of your life. Later, we'll talk about integrity. Later, we'll talk about accountability. Later, we'll talk about all the wonderful things that come up in the process of creating results. But this is the bedrock. This is, like I said before, the P of your pact. Later, we're going to talk about what the A, the C, and the T stand for, whether you're doing one-on-one coaching with me or you are doing group coaching. We'll talk about that later. But for right now, let's continue with our schedule. Let's continue with our plan. Yeah? So the next thing that I want you to do We've talked about non-negotiables. We've talked about the stepping stones. Next thing I want you to do is I want you to make a list of the habits of the person that you would want to be, that you need to be in order to create this result, right? So if you're trying to finish your creative music project, right? And you're like, hey, I know that kind of person, they go out in nature every weekend because they want to get inspiration for their next song. I'm just making it up here, right? Whatever you need to do, it might be directly stepping stone related or not. It's just life related. What we're going to do right now is make a list of habits that we want to develop, a list of habits that we want to set aside time for, yeah? So if you check my habits here, I want to do a midday meditation every single day, for example, because I've just noticed in the past when I schedule and I don't set aside time in the middle of my day, I can get to the end of the day feeling overwhelmed. So I was like, going forward, I'm going to set aside 15 minutes every single day in the middle of the day to reset. Yeah. I want to play soccer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I want to have a morning routine. If you are watching this, make a morning routine. Set aside time for what you want your morning to look like. What can you do at the beginning of the day to set yourself up for success through the rest of the day? Does that mean planning out the rest of the day? Does that mean meditating? Does that mean yoga? Does that mean eating breakfast? Does that mean showering? I'm serious. Set aside time for a morning routine. If you're working with me, I'm not giving any caveats to this. Every single morning, I want you doing some kind of set aside exercises to get you moving. Cool? Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get to work on that. Let's start with the midday meditation. So if I go here to my calendar, I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I know I want to do it in the middle of the day. I would prefer to do it at the same time every day just so I can start to train my brain, especially these habits. I really want you to have them at regular times. So for me, I'm like, okay, if I want to do a midday meditation, where do I have time to schedule that? And what I'm seeing is, if you look here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it looks like we've got ourselves either a break at this time or we've got nothing at this time, this 12:45 slot. So what I want to do is I want to go here and create a small little insert and say meditation time. 15 minutes, that's it. Yeah? I'm going to change the color. We're going to make that shit nice and orange. And we're going to repeat it every weekday, Monday to Friday. See? Different. Boom. Save. Now, if you look, bam, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just so you guys know, a little quick hack. If you press D on your keyboard, you can look at the specific day. If you press W, you can see the week. Just a little hack for you. Cool. So I have now installed inside my programming for the next 3 months of my life, meditation time. Next up, like we said, we want to play soccer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know that soccer starts at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so let's do it. I know it goes until about 12, so soccer me up. Let's make this red. Now we've got soccer on Tuesdays. But before I move on to Thursday, let's think about this. If I'm playing soccer, I'm not playing soccer at my house, right? I'm traveling. So it's very important that you are realistic about the calendar and the schedule that you set aside. If you are going somewhere, also include on your schedule. And I know this seems neurotic and I know this seems anal, but trust me, it's actually going to give you so much ease in your life. Schedule in contingency stuff like travel time, right? So I'm going to put here 15 minutes of travel to soccer. Yeah. If you'd like, you can put a location. That's obviously nice and easy access for address in the future. I'm not going to do it because I don't want y'all to stalk me. Travel to soccer, 9:45. Also, want to travel back. Let's call it 15 minutes to travel back. Also, I know that After I play soccer, if I have work to do after that, I'm not trying to do it sweaty, so I'm going to set aside time to shower. Yes, I'm going to set aside time to shower. I'm going to make sure that there is shower time allocated on my schedule. Because otherwise, I know it sounds anal again, but otherwise, you're going to do this the first week and be like, oh shit, I didn't think about showering. And oh my god, now all my meetings are I'm late to or I'm stinky to, right? So that's why I promise, the deeper that you think through this process is the less work you're going to have to do on the back end. And I would rather have you front load your work now to think through everything than have to be in the game, be in the fight, be in the boxing arena and having to shift at that time. Let's prep and let's plan now. So boom, 30 minutes, shower and get ready. Cool. So now let's add soccer onto Thursdays. But look, oh snap, we've got a little bit of an issue. Yes, we can add soccer from 10 to 12 on Thursday, but we're researching stocks already at 12. How am I going to go immediately from soccer to researching stocks? This is why the hierarchy that I was trying to create before is very important. Non-negotiables are things that don't move. Stepping stones are right below that. So I would rather compromise on something like the soccer rather than compromise on my goal, my stepping stone, which is the researching stocks. So let's work back. So on Thursday, let's move soccer me up from 12. Let's move it to 11:15. So I'll play for like 75 minutes. Yeah? I'm going to edit this and future events. So now I have, again, 15 minutes to travel back. And I have still my 30 minutes to shower and get ready for the rest of my day. The most important thing that I want you to get from this exercise is taking your mind through the process of saying, what are all my commitments? What are all my obligations? What are all my desires? And what do I need to do to set myself up for success to get there, right? Think it through as much as possible. This should not be a 5-minute exercise. I don't want you to be like, oh yeah, this is my work time. Okay, cool, this is my stepping stone time. I'm done. No, think it through. When will you set up your dinner? When will you set up your meditation, your morning routines? When will you set up time for friends? When will you set up time for groceries? That is what this process is actually truly about. It is making time in your life for your life. Yeah? Boom. And like I said, everybody, I know, some people are watching this right now and they're like, this is too much. This is too detailed. And it's like, great, fantastic. And your goal and your vision and the reason that you came to me and the guild and the one-on-one in the first place is worth it. It is worth the next 2 to 3 months being committed to this schedule. It is worth being committed to this plan. It's worth it to me. Seeing you succeed, seeing you get the things you want is worth going through this, maybe hour and a half process of putting this together. Cool? So go ahead, jump into your schedule, jump into your calendar, add your habits, think it through, and we'll jump in with some notes in a second. Cool? Peace. Okay, great. I am starting to put mine together over here, and I want to give you some notes before we move forward. So, for example, like I told you, I want you to have a morning routine. And for me, I noticed that as I look at my morning routine over here, because of traveling to soccer on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have about 15 minutes less for my morning routine, right? So what I could do is I could wake up 15 minutes earlier on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But if I say I want to wake up at 8, cool. I've adjusted. And you can see here you have MJBDSE, and you're like, what the hell is that? And you notice on Tuesdays you have MJBD, right? For me, I know what that means. MJBDSE is my morning routine. If you click here, it's meditation, journal, breath work, dance, shower, eat. Every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, to allot for the 15 minutes that we're missing, I'm just doing meditation, journaling, breath work, dressed, breakfast. So obviously on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm not showering before soccer, I'm showering afterwards, and we've already allotted time for that. Again, now you see why I was saying it's very important for us to set aside time intentionally to shower on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So one last habit that I want to add, and I wanted to show you all the process of how I thought about it, is I want to reward myself. I'm looking at this, I'm like, all right, it's starting to get pretty, it's getting pretty tight. There's a lot of things happening. So I want to make sure I set aside time to breathe, to relax, to reward myself for the work that I'm doing. And I think it's very important, not that I do that, but that you do it as well. So for me, on Wednesdays, I'm going to set aside time, a solid, significant amount of time for me to reward myself. And I'm going to say that rewarding myself is either going to be taking myself to a movie or going skating or getting a massage. And I'll add that to my notes under the calendar block. Cool? So it looks like Wednesdays we've got some free time. It's a good time to reward myself. It's the middle of the week. It's a nice time for me to re-energize and get set up to make it through the end of the week. So let's do Wednesdays after my workouts from 5:30. Let's take that all the way to 9. Treat yourself. Okay, cool. So we're almost there. We're almost through this process. But for real, before we finish up, before we wrap up, I want to say one thing. And it's not that I appreciate you for following through this video, because this video is obviously for you. But I acknowledge you for sticking through it. I know this can be a lot. I know this can be kind of stressful at times. Stick with it. Stay present. Take it block by block. And know that the time and the energy that you're investing right now is setting you up so that you can have the thing that you desire. I promise. Yeah, we're gonna get so much into the deeper things that come up of oh, what happens when I feel overwhelmed, or what happens when I feel like I don't have enough time, or what happens when I'm in my head. We'll get into all of that, but for right now, I acknowledge you for setting the soil so that we can put seeds in later that will sprout and give us the results that we desire. Cool. Now we are back to the week of the 17th. I'm gonna go ahead and add everything else that I want to add. I know that I want groceries, right? I know that I want to be able to take care of myself. And I also want to include my business coach meeting, which if you guys remember earlier on in this little video, I said I want to set aside time for me and my business coach. But we meet roughly every 2 weeks. So what I'm going to do is say, okay, I don't need to go grocery shopping every week. I also don't need to go to Nick, my business coach, every week. So what if I just take that same amount of time and I just flip-flop it every week? One day I'll go grocery shopping, one day I'll go to Nick. One day I go shopping, one day I go to Nick. That for me feels so good, because then I feel like I'm making best use of my time without throwing things all over, right? So that's exactly what I'm gonna make happen right here. So I need about an hour for Nick and about an hour for groceries. So let's go to Wednesdays, and this gap that we have between 3 and 4, I'm gonna say Nick session. Cool, so I got Nick business session here. Again, we're gonna go to custom, and we're gonna go to repeat every 2 weeks. Sound good? Let's make it black. Excellent. So obviously I'm gonna go through the same process, and I'm gonna go through the week of the 26th. We see here that there's no Nick that week, and we're gonna go to get some groceries. More options. Let's make it yellow, and we will repeat it every 2 weeks. And look, I'm not saying you need to fill every single minute of your day with schedule. I am saying that you want to make sure that everything that you want to schedule is scheduled. So if you look at mine right now, you see we have a little bit of a gap. For example, like Wednesdays, we have a gap from about 10 to 11:30 that has nothing in it. That's our biggest gap right now. And I looked at that and I was like, you know what? I don't want to put anything in there. For right now, what I actually want to do is we have Wednesday, my treat yourself time, my reward time. What if I make Wednesdays my really regenerative, self-care, self-loving day, right? So I'm actually going to do something. I'm going to set it up so that on Wednesdays, I actually wake up an hour later. And I wake up, make sure that I'm in my morning routine by about 9:15. Make sure we edit that event and future events. So boom, there we go. So as you can see here, all this white space, I'll be asleep, I'll be dreaming about you. Just kidding. Maybe, probably. I also wanted contingency time. Now, contingency is a word when it comes to scheduling that you're going to hear me say a lot. If you don't know, contingency is a future event or circumstance which is possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. A provision for an unforeseen event or circumstance. In other words, making time for life shit to happen, right? I think that's super important. I think a lot of times schedules create anxiety when it's too jam-packed together and you're like, oh my God, I go from this meeting to this meeting to this meeting to this meeting, and I'm getting to the end of my day and I'm 5 minutes late for this one. That's when you can stress out. But again, you can schedule and you can plan to make yourself happier, to create ease in your life. So if you notice, this was very important for me as I created my schedule. If you notice, a lot of these things have a little white gap in between them. That was intentional. 15 minutes of just when I'm moving from one mental focus to another task, I want to make sure that I have space. I want to make sure that if just in case it goes over by a little bit, I can move into that time without stressing. I can move into that time without compromising on my next thing. The surefire guaranteed way to make sure that you get results out of this schedule is that you do not compromise. And basically what we're doing with contingency is setting ourselves up so we don't have to compromise. Yeah? Great. So here I am about to finish up my little life strategy plan that we've got here. If you notice, I threw in my dinner time so I know what time I'm eating dinner. If you notice, I also threw in reading time. I want to make sure that just like I'm intentional at the top of my day, I want to be intentional about the end of my day as well. And I want to be slowing down. I don't want to be on my phone. So I'm intentionally setting up time for me to read at the end of the day. That way, when my phone gives me a notification, boop, reading time, I know, boop, it's also time to put the phone away. Cool? And then boom, you got yourself a full life strategy plan. Now you've seen me go step by step and take this schedule, take this life strategy plan from intention to reality. All I have to do now, it's like I have a little pocket coach, a little pocket accountability coach in my pocket, so I can say, all right, what am I supposed to do right now? Check my phone, boom. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I'll go do, right? So it's not, I think a lot of times reason people don't get what they want is because they don't get organized. This is to help you get organized, right? And over the course of the next couple months, as you work with me and as you work with the rest of the people that I'm going to toss your way, this is meant to supplement every little bit of emotional coaching, every little breakthrough. This is a reminder to you of as long as I stick in integrity to the thing I've already declared, the chances look very good for you to get whatever it is that you want. Yeah? It can be this easy. And imagine if it's this easy and on top of it you get world-class coaching from the boy. Okay, let me stop. Then, that's why I tell people, like, look, work with me, you'll get what you want. Because I'm going to allow you to organize your life so that your dreams are not probability, they're not chance, they are planned. Yeah? So the last couple notes before I let y'all go. First note, I would say, as you put this schedule together, obviously a lot of these things that you're putting in your calendar are contingent upon other people, right? Like, you've got to go and organize now and tell people, hey, girlfriend, because of my schedule, I'm going to be busy up until 10 o'clock. But don't worry, at 10:30, we're going to make love like nobody's ever seen before. And making sure that everybody's on board with that going forward. Letting them know that you are a priority to them, and that's why you are letting them know how you are accounting for them in your life. Yeah? So the first thing I want you to do after you get this schedule nice and sexy is to call everybody who this relates to, who is connected to this in any way, and let them know, like, hey, going forward, let's do this, and let's do this at this time. For me, I had to call the guy that I'm going to work out with. For me, I had to tell my manager what time works for me. For me, I had to, again, talk to my business coach and say, like, hey, going forward, can we do Wednesdays? Yeah? So that's your first challenge. That's the first thing I invite you to do. And, yeah. If you're scared, great. Like, amazing, perfect, fantastic, phenomenal. That makes it more of an exciting process. Yeah, reach out to me if you need support, obviously. All right, hallelujah. It's complete. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for being part of this process. Thank you for committing to yourself and your dreams and your potential. That is the biggest thank you that I can give you in this moment. I'm here for you. I support you. And I'm so proud of you for jumping into this process with me and with yourself. Yeah. So if you are in the guild, I will see you probably in a couple days. If you're one-on-one, I'll probably see you very shortly. But yeah, I truly, truly believe that if you take these steps, if you go from what is my milestone, what are my non-negotiables, what is my stepping stones, what are my habits, and what are the miscellaneous things that I want to add underneath, take that approach, implement it into this very simple structure and calendar, you are already more than 50% on the way to getting to where you want to go. The rest of it is just moving through, whatever blocks, fears, are coming up. And that's the fun stuff. So let's get this out of the way so that we can jump into the juicy. And yeah, if you have any questions, reach out. But yeah. yeah, I'm very excited for you, and let's continue becoming who we want to become. I love you guys. Goodbye.
Okay, all right. Welcome to the end of the video. Kudos to you for making it. There's probably some people who gave up halfway through, but I'm proud of you for making it this far. I'm proud of you for saying yes to this in the first place. And I would just want to leave you with a couple quick notes. Don't forget to knock off those little miscellaneous extra habits that you want to throw on your schedule, like the stuff like, rewards time and all the stuff that we're talking about at the end of the video. Also, next step after that, first step after that, is to go and talk to all the people who are in your life who are related to the schedule in any way and make sure that everything is surefire ready to go. Um, and yeah, that's it. I would say, regardless if your class starts next week or in a couple months, I would say start living by this schedule now, because at the end of the day, this is just a habit, right? So as soon as you can start getting into the groove and making the momentum and making your brain reprogram to realize, like, hey, this is my life now, then the sooner we'll get results. Yeah. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching the whole video. Thank you for caring enough about your dreams to watch this video and invest in yourself. And I'll see you very soon. Bye.